Good evening, you're watching The Urban Debate with me, Avni Raja. On the 18th of August, a 44-year-old Bengalurian Supreet was riding on his motorcycle when he hit a pothole and toppled. He received severe head injuries and after nearly a week of battling for his life has now died. This is yet another life that has been claimed, yet another family shattered and torn apart. Multiple deadlines given to the civic body BBMP to fix the roads have not been met. Multiple questions have been raised by the Karnataka High Court. A plethora of promises to fix the roads have been made, but literally all of it to no avail. Civic apathy, crumbling infrastructure, pothole-riddled roads continuing to claim lives. In fact, my colleague Thoya sent this report from the accident spot where 44-year-old Supreet hit a pothole and has now died. Take a look first at that.
You can see right now I'm standing in this spot where the incident took place. While he was coming this way, he tripped and fell inside this pothole and he was badly injured on his head. The locals immediately rushed him to the nearby hospital and they admitted him, whereas he was under treatment for past 3 days, but whereas he passed away on August 22nd due to this. And immediately after he passes away, the victim's family filed an FIR on him, saying that this incident happened because of the bad condition of roads and potholes. And then the victim's family also blames the BBMP and the police department for not considering this case very seriously. And also the victim's family has particularly mentions in the FIR copy saying that this is a problem which the BBMP they blames the BBMP for not fixing the potholes, but still the police has considered saying that they have filed a case under section 304A under self-negligence, whereas the victim's family is fighting for the justice, whereas it is not self-negligence. They are blaming the BBMP in this case. Whereas you can see immediately after the incident, the BBMP tried to manage and fix this, whereas they've done a patchwork, but still this patchwork also is coming out, whereas this is a very dangerous thing which is happening in the city of Bengaluru.
We also spoke to Supreet's brother who, like I was saying, has squarely placed the blame on the potholes and the civic body's lack of willingness to fix them. Listen in.
You had filed an FIR on your cousin's death case, which happened a few days back because of the potholes. Whereas you mentioned saying that this incident happened because of the BBMP's negligence of not filling the potholes. But the police has mentioned saying that it's self-negligence. Please tell us about that.
See, police telling it that as a self-negligence is wrong. See, and then first of all, I think you have seen the spot very clearly, and it is very, very clearly visible that that the pothole was very bad and it is pathetic. Now they have tried to fill up also, which is wrong. And then because of the pothole only the accident has happened, and they cannot keep telling that it is self-negligence. When the accident is happened because of the pothole, how can they say that, how can they blame that it is a self-negligence? And then first of all, we didn't know about that self-negligence and all that. It is through another reporter we got to know that the section IPC section 304(a) has been filed. So that is when we got to know that indicates that it is a self-negligence. And then now, in fact, I am going to the police station to see to that we amend the entire FIR. We will request them to give us support so that we need to take a proper case built against the BBMP and their negligence. So we need to go and do that.
Let me in fact go across to Thoya first, who's joining us at this point in time on the broadcast. Thoya, this of course has been an issue which we've been talking about for a while, and yet again we've seen one more death with respect to as a reason as far after the pothole. What can you tell us?
Well, Avni, absolutely. on August 18th, the 44 years old man who was passing in Sunkatte Road in Bengaluru, there was a huge pothole over there, whereas his tire got stuck inside the pothole and he didn't have the balance and he fell and he had a very bad head injury, whereas the locals immediately took him to the nearby hospital. While he was on treatment for 3 days, on August 22nd, early morning, 4 o'clock, he passed away. As soon as he passed away, his family members went to the nearby police station and they filed an FIR where they have clearly mentioned saying that this incident happened because of the negligence of the BBMP for not having good roads, for the bad condition of roads and for the potholes, because they have not fixed the potholes in that area. And there are lakhs of potholes in Bengaluru where the BBMP is not taking a serious action to fix the potholes. Because of such killer potholes, you can also see I am standing right here in the most busiest area where you can see it is right now, it is raining heavily and these potholes are completely filled with the water where you can't even see if there's a pothole or not. This is how the people here will have physical injuries, they'll get accidents, and also there are chances of losing life, whereas now a person is already lost his life and the family members have registered an FIR on this incident on 22nd of August. Immediately the victim passed away. They have mentioned very clearly that this is because of BBMP's negligence and the police of Karnataka, whereas the victim's family didn't know that the police has registered the case on 304A section under self-negligence, whereas the family is fighting for the justice, where they want to know why, how can they register it is on self-negligence? How can the victim be his own responsible for his death? That's what the family is fighting for. And today also we went to the police station with the victim's family, and whereas they were speaking to the cops were directly telling the victim's family that this case the investigation has already started on this case, and right now the investigation is going on. Once they get the accused of this case, they will automatically change the IPC sections. That's what the cops said the victim's family today in the police station.
In fact, I just want you to ask your camera person to pan on the road once more, just to take a look at the kind of potholes. This is the roads in Bengaluru. If we can just pull up those visuals on our screens, Thoya, if you can ask your camera person to show us those visuals once again with respect to the potholes there. And also, Thoya, tell us, what is the latest in terms of what the BBMP has said? Once again, there have been claims made that potholes have been filled, but clearly, as you're just showing us, that's not the case.
Well, Avni, even after many hearings which happened in the Karnataka High Court to the BBMP, and there were many deadlines given to the BBMP to fix the potholes in the city of Bengaluru, but still BBMP have not taken this seriously. That is why these kind of incidents and people are losing lives. Innocent people are losing lives. I can say that, Avni. And also, you can see over here, this road has so many potholes, and you can see BBMP is still not taking things very seriously. And even after many hearings in the High Court and several promises that BBMP have made the citizens that they will fix all the potholes, but still there are thousands, there are lakhs of potholes which has still not been fixed in the city of Bengaluru.
Right.
But at least now that the BBMP has to take a serious action on this and make the Bangalore free pothole city very soon. Back to you, Avni.
All right, Thoya, thank you so much for taking us through all of that and showing us the state of the roads in Bengaluru even now. But let me welcome our guests who are joining us. Mohan Krishna of the BJP, in fact, Aiyshwarya Mahadev, spokesperson of the Congress, Pawan Sham, advocate at Karnataka High Court, Sourabh Kumar, director, Pothole Raja, and Manoj Wadhwa, who's also an activist on this issue as well. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. And for our viewers as well, our phone lines are open, numbers flashing on your screen. Call us, share your views. If you have any specific questions to our panelists, please go ahead and ask that as well. But let me start with Mohan Krishna here. Mr. Krishna, the situation is extremely grim and extremely grave. We have been talking about deaths because of the roads of Bengaluru for a long time now, and the situation just hasn't changed.
Good evening, Avni. Just last week we have spoken about this issue. We are again talking about this now after the death of Supreet. My deep condolences to the bereaved family. I pray God for their strength to be given by the God to take care of the future of the family. Let me tell you something. This has happened in the outskirts of the Bangalore. I know there were a lot of debates on this. I have told you also, the BBMP now has acquired a new mechanism to fill the potholes by way of Python. Python is an American company through which they are trying to fix the problem. In fact, it is a problem of the BBMP earlier. Now I take it in a very different way. It was centralized earlier, now it is decentralized. All the 8 zones, executive engineers and all the engineers are very active. Even I have seen just near my house also, the potholes have been filled completely very well. It is happening, but unfortunately, we are getting incessant rains in Bangalore, which is not stopping for that matter. That might be another issue. Anyhow, I will not defend on one issue that there is a problem, the problem will be fixed. That's all I can say.
Pawan Sham, the Karnataka High Court has also brought up this issue on multiple occasions, raised several questions, asked for, details to be filed of how many potholes have been filled, what action has been taken, but nothing seems to have woken the BBMP out of its slumber.
Yes, it's been quite some time that the Karnataka High Court has been monitoring the situation. And almost every month, the BBMP comes up with an answer. So apparently in the month of March, the BBMP submitted to the High Court that Bangalore has no more potholes left to be filled at all.
Yes.
They said all potholes have been filled. I mean, the High Court laughed at it. They laughed at it. And then they say that they have another technology, then they have issues with the bidding, then they have issues with offering tenders. Now, I don't know why the BBMP resorts to such things. The High Court has been consistently asking them the procedure or the technology that has been adopted for constructing the roads itself. Now, they aren't able to provide any of those. They aren't able to provide what technology they're using to fill the potholes or to make the roads. Now, the BBMP absolutely has no regard for the High Court. The High Court is doing its best. It's doing its best to get this issue resolved. Now, there was a Chief Justice called Justice Oka, who is now in the Supreme Court. And sometime around 5 years ago, he passed stringent orders for banning of posters and hoardings all over the city, and we never got to see one. And today, what's happening? We have posters all over the city. And potholes were directed to be filled up over the years. Now, there have been hundreds and hundreds of deaths. I think thousands, probably, of deaths in Bangalore due to road potholes. Now, I think High Court should just open a separate wing here to monitor the pothole menace out here. And pothole menace is not due to incessant rains. Rains come all over the world. There are countries with good roads. Why? There is Bangalore, there's Electronic City in Bangalore. Please visit Electronic City in Bangalore. It has no single pothole. It is not because of rain that, it's not because Electronic City has no rain at all. It's because the work done is of such quality that rains don't damage such roads. Now, Electronic City is not governed by the BBMP. BBMP has no control over Electronic City. The LCITA, the Electronic City, has a separate body called LCITA. The LCITA is the one that designs and that oversees all these procedures. And they don't have any special standards that are resistant to rains. They just follow the basic standards prescribed by the state government. Why can't the BJP do just that? It's because of massive corruption is this pothole menace coming, and not because of rains or not because of some other technology that's not there. The BBMP has to understand this fact. If you're bribing everyone from contractor to the minister concerned, whoever it is, obviously you'll never find the best possible road. How is it Electronic City has good roads and other part of Bangalore doesn't have? Either we don't want BBMP at all.
Yes, absolutely. Sourabh Kumar, in fact, the Chief Minister has admitted himself that over 20,000 crore have been spent in the last 5 years on road-related work in Bengaluru. And more than 200 crore only on fixing potholes. Now, if this kind of money has been spent on the roads of Bengaluru, obviously the question comes to mind as to how is it that this is all, in this state?
If you really want to know the answer to that, I think the right use of technology has been missing in in Bangalore. To be really honest, I heard Mr. Bhavan was giving an example of how Electronic City has maintained such beautiful roads. We in fact have worked with Electronic City as well, using the best technology to ensure that potholes are fixed as in they appear. The same thing can be applied to the entire city roads. I also heard, our BJP representative, sir, was telling about, the use of Python machine. Unfortunately, that machine cannot operate in the weather condition that is there in Bangalore because it uses hot bitumen technology. Whereas, we have over a period of time showcased that the cold mix technology will prove to be the only solution which can cater to a demography like Bangalore or Bombay or Mangalore cities which receives rainfall on a very high capacity. So my only point is, if we are not open to adopt and adapt to the latest technology that is available for us, we will continue to see the apathy that we have currently seen, somebody losing their life and it has been highlighted. But there are tons of accidents that happens on the road on a daily basis. What about them? So why are we restricting ourselves in not using the latest technology? I mean, on this open forum, I can come out and say that we've been doing this now over 5 years, and the potholes that we have fixed has never come off. And we are here to help the state government, the BBMP, to ensure that if there is a willingness, we will be more than happy to extend our support in ensuring that we put a tag that Bangalore is pothole free.
Okay, all right. Aiyshwarya Mahadev, if you would like to come in here, because yes, I know the first question is going to be to the BJP, as it should be, because they're in power right now. But the fact is that this has been an issue for several years. It is not an issue that has only cropped up of late.
Good evening, Avni. I think first and foremost, the sheer apathy of the BJP and the excuses after excuses is something that really needs to stop. We have been on several debates. From the time Mr. Bomai took over, even I think Mr. Mohan Krishna and I have been doing debates, and every time, it is about, oh, we're sorry, we will take action. It started off with a transformer burst, which spoke about bad infrastructure, and it went on to more pothole deaths. And a few things I want to highlight very emphatically when this whole idea of Python is being touted, that in April, the court, basically said Python should be used and whatnot, and what is the condition of it today? One, they're already always engaged in squabbling over what the pricing of each of these things are. Second thing is, as of 23rd, a report in a leading Kannada daily tells us that the government claims that 11,000 potholes were basically covered over. And after one round of rain, more than 4,500 of them, the potholes basically erupted again. This basically is not, and when Mr. Mohan Krishna talks about incessant rain, it's almost like he's tacitly admitting to the fact that the quality of work is absolutely pathetic. Now, let us keep the politics aside. Of course, you can talk about in every successive government, potholes have been a problem. Is that a part of the problem with the government, or is that the part of the problem with the BBMP? And now the BJP can't even blame Congress corporators because there are none. We're waiting for elections to happen, and it's being administered centrally by the BBMP officers themselves. The singular fact, Avni, remains that there is absolutely no fear of any punishment, of any accountability, and the transparency in this system is something that has to be set out. I think large dialogues have taken place about contractors who have been, given the contract to make it public, or from where procurement is happening and whatnot, but the government has no fear. The High Court, I think, I don't know how many times the High Court has said we should hold them in contempt, because it's embarrassing to have the highest judicial body in the state hauling up the BJP government like they're small children that don't know what to do. And any responsible government would take enough action to ensure that more people have or do not die or lose their lives. But there's no transparency, there is no accountability, and that is part of the larger problem. And I think that has to be fixed. A fix accountability, you will fix more than just potholes and save lives.
Right. All right. Let me bring in some of our callers who are on the phone line as well with us. Seshadri is calling us from Bengaluru. Go ahead, Seshadri. What would you like to say?
Oh, madam. Now you see, I'm watching the program.
Yes.
About debaters who are speaking in different tones. And one more, you see, many times the High Court passed the severe stricture against the so-called corrupt BBMP. Nothing concrete action has been taken.
Yes.
No, it's my suggestion. Instead of punishing, better you terminate the services of those guys. Those who are responsible, terminate them and send them to jail.
Yes, absolutely.
We want very stricter exemplary punishment, You see that lady who is speaking now, she is right. No accountability, no transparency, nothing is there. And look at that, what is the level of corruption in every, field, there is a perfect corruption.
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Seshadri. Completely take your point there and completely understand your outrage as well. Shrikant also calling us from Bengaluru. Hi, Shrikant. Thanks for calling in. Go ahead. What would you like to say?
To one and all. Basically, I am from Association of Consulting Civil Engineers, Bengaluru. See, fundamentally, there is no professionalism existing in the government technical system, technical body, that is what I mean. Non-qualified civil engineers like mechanical and electrical are also engaged to carry out the works of civil engineering jobs. Number two, tendering system does not give due importance to the quality and technical personality that are supposed to be there, including the design parameters. This is number two. Number three, in the whole of the government technical body, engineers, civil engineers, which are otherwise they called just as an engineer, they never mention that civil engineering title. They always mention, junior engineer, assistant engineer, educator. That is because to hide their original qualification. So this is one of the systems corruption that has to be removed immediately. Then number four, all the technical organizations like, BWSSP, KPTCL, KSP, which are purely a technical body, should have been headed by a qualified technical person like the one we saw, E. Sridharan. But bureaucrats are heading, and also the politicians are heading as a rehabilitation center. We have seen in financial sector as well as education sector, people are heading in that particular expert. But in case of this particular technical bodies concerned with the civil works, the non-engineers are heading these particular teams. Number five, there are no mechanism of checks and balances to frame the tendering processes by a professionally qualified bodies such as Association of Consulting Civil Engineers or Institution of Engineers or Builders Association of India. See, they have never come to the association of the professional bodies to have an interaction with the people so that to minimize the corruption. They never do that. And most of our government engineers are known for the corruption and other things.
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Shrikant. Thank you so much for calling us and putting out all of the points, extremely relevant points that you've mentioned there at this point in time. But let me go across to Manoj Wadhwa as well. If you would like to come in, this, of course, just recently we had data on across India that was as far pothole deaths are concerned. But Karnataka has always been one of the states which has witnessed the highest number of such cases.
Ma'am, thank you. First of all, I have noted down all the points spoken by all the representative here. So I need some time to explain that what we need to do exactly, because I am fighting my own case since 8 years. I lost my 3-year-old child 8 years ago. I am fighting my case in the court, and thankfully we are able to nab the culprit, and they will be very soon getting the punishment also. This will be happening for the first time, I think, in the Indian history, that somebody from the contractor companies, from the government companies will be held accountable, and they are facing criminal charges in my case. So I'm not saying it loudly, but I am just thankful that court has understood my point and they taken it forward, and now it is on the track. So I would request the victim here, who the family, if you can convey my message to them, if they need any support legally, we are there to support them, that how to fight this battle out. Because when I started my battle, I also faced the same issues, that police first diverted the case to hit and run, and then after reopening the this case again in the High Court, we were able to successful that the High Court has helped, and the case was reopened and reinvestigated by the police. And now
Manoj Wazwa, if I may interrupt you for just a moment, I would like you, for our viewers, to tell us your story, because it's extremely unfortunate, and my condolences to you as well for what you've gone through. And yes, we will pass on that message to the victim's family in this particular case as well. But yes, please do tell our viewers your story.
Ago, we were coming from the two-wheeler only, my wife and myself and my 3-year-old child. There was a pothole on the national highway, and unfortunately there was no light also, and it was hidden inside the water as well. So I was not able to see the pothole from far. And unfortunately, like this biker faced the accident, I also faced the accident, and my child stuck into the sharp stones and all. And my wife was also on the road, and there was a vehicle coming from behind who crushed both the legs of my wife, and she went to 23 surgeries that point in time. She took 1 year to stand up and walk. I faced so much pain, but I decided that day that I will fight this out. I'll make sure that the killer of my child will get maximum possible punishment in this. In our country, nobody was punished earlier, and everybody was offering money to me, compensation and all. So I not accepted the money and all. I just went to the court. I requested them to take my case forward on a criminal basis, and now they are facing charges of 304A. We'll be fighting out to convert the charges also 3042. That how it can be done, I will be taking my lawyer support and all. So based on the experience, I am saying that the victim should come out and fight. It is not very difficult. It is difficult, I know. I am already fighting this since last 8 years, but now the case is on track. So one or another day they will be facing the charges, and we have to give our proofs and all. And definitely we are hopeful that court will support us and the punishment will be given to the culprits. Secondly, we should not wait for accident to happen and then we talk about the problems one by one. Rather than that, the Congress spokesperson already suggested that there should be accountability. The one caller also suggested that there should be punishment. So I am also on the same lines, requesting that there should be a proper law in which we can say every, the road user should be empowered to report the pothole by mean of any application, by mean of any website, by mean of any telephone lines. So you should open all the telephone lines to report the pothole first of all. Once the pothole is reported on a particular location with the geographical location as well, then the particular agency should be having a timeline counter that in how much time they can repair the pothole. If they are failed to repair the pothole in, let's say, 2 days, then the penalty should come first and then the punishment. So we can have sequential punishment for that. If the contractor is repeated offender, and we should not forget that we should include the government agencies also, because they cannot run away that the contractor is responsible. They are responsible to monitor it. They have to monitor it. Otherwise, only the contractor will be facing the punishment. So secondly, if anybody dies, then we should ask them to put the criminal charges under 3042, not 304A, because pothole takes life. This is a non-fact. And anything which can take life, and the person who is not doing any action on that to repair it, to rectify it, and somebody dies, then it should come under 3042, not 304A. So FIR should also be corrected, and any support to the victim we are ready to give.
Yes.
Obviously, we are in Delhi, but definitely we'll try our best to change the FIR and all. We can do all the things. We have given suggestions to all the government agencies. We have written so many letters to all the stakeholders. I have written letters to 28 state chief ministers. Prime Minister Nitin Gadkari. I'm not taking names. I'm just saying that I had tried my best. Now we'll be moving to Supreme Court also, that this law is mandatory. Once we have law in place, the contractor and the officials will be, forceful to follow the law. And if they are not following it, they will be bound by the law, and then they can get a punishment for for the not doing their duties.
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Wadhwa. I can't imagine what you have gone through, but I truly hope that you get justice soon and the case goes forward in the manner that you like. But I do want to go across to some more callers who are with us, and we're getting in a lot of calls at this point in time. Babul Rao is on the phone line. Go ahead, Babul Rao. Thanks for calling in. What would you like to say?
Good evening, ma'am. And every 6 months, it is a ritual on me. At Mirror, one day you show Bangalore, one day it could be Mumbai. But after listening to Manoj Wadhwa, I am lost all the words. Each person who dies, or even he meets an accident and breaks his back, is a culpable murder, in my opinion. You know what I feel sad? In the same Bangalore, there is a place called Electronic City. Next time, request your people to visit that city. It is managed by the Electronics Association. It is of world standard. And rocket science, maintaining roads is not rocket science. You know what I feel sad? People from different parties come here and politicize without any concern for the death that is happening. Each MLA, can he not take care of his area?
Yes.
At least I'm asking Aiyshwarya, I'm asking BJP chairman, and coming here and giving long talks.
Yes.
I've been a head of a multinational company. I'm 70 years old. I've seen deterioration of Bangalore. Small thing. The roads are built, let us say, for car.
Yes.
But you have 20-ton trucks going. How can any design not take care of how the traffic is going to be for next 50 years, 100 years? There are simulation softwares that are available that will give the design. You know what? There is a lack of governance by each and every MLA and a corporator. And what is required? It is not about blaming. It is.
Yes, absolutely, Babul Rao. Completely valid points that you've raised there. And I'm going to take across those questions to Mohan Krishna as well. But we've also got Major Samra from Ludhiana, who's with us on the phone line. Major Samra, thank you for calling in. Go ahead.
Thank you, Bitya. Avni, I will say something else. I will not bash the politician.
Yes.
I will bash the lower level engineers and the heads of the engineers, those who are supposed to maintain roads. There is one thing very clear with a bitumen road, that is the blacktop road. We should have the road in the center high, and there should be a gradient onto the sides, and water should not at all stop on the road at all. We should ensure that. And onto the side, there should be arrangement for the water to seep down or get into the gutter or something. Basically, look at all our roads in any city. They are flat roads. We need gradients into the center. From the center onto the side, water should go. Water destroys it. Possibly, I think, if the road doesn't break, money will be made. They make it money every 3 months or 6 months. Now, what figure you are showing, this kind of figure is so much of money wasted on same thing. I'm looking at your roads as you are showing me. They're absolutely flat roads. This is not the way to make a road. A road should be high on the center, and there should be a little gradient onto the side so that water just goes away from the road, does not stick with that particular bitumen there. That's why the roads break. The biggest problem is water.
Right. All right, Major Samra, thank you for calling in. We've also got Parthas Harthi, who's joining us on the phone line as well. Thank you for calling in. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Avni.
Good evening.
Of Bangalore, and I have also been a victim of a recent road accident, but fortunately, I didn't lose my life. I have broken my shoulder. I tell you the basic fact is that there is, as everybody has said, and even your headline says, the title of the program says, the basic lack of apathy. If something like this were to happen to a corporator's family member or to the corporator himself or to the MLA or MLC, I think, the response would not be the same. We would not see the same kind of apathy that we see today. And otherwise, you tell me, how do you explain the fact just before the elections, at the election eve, overnight the roads are made spanky and absolutely, excellent. Or take, for instance, when there is a visit of any VVIP to our city, we see overnight roads are made. I was a witness to that just about a couple of weeks ago, probably 10 days ago, when our past president, Ramnath Kovind, visited our city. And the whole of Kanakpura Road was, the patch which he was traveling through was all made all right. How? Overnight. If that can happen, then why should we come to a situation like this? If it is something so easily doable,
right?
Why are we suffering like this? Just that there is no interest, no importance to the life of a common man here in the city.
All right, Mr. Parthasarathy, thank you so much for calling us with your views. This is an outrage as far as scholars are concerned, people who are at their wits' end and absolutely don't know what to do and facing so much danger on a daily basis while traveling. Mr. Mohan Krishna, what would you like to say to all of these people?
Avni, Mr. Wadhwa explained very categorically as how he has gone through. Likewise, there are so many people who have lost life. But before that, I'm not politicizing this issue. This issue is there. As one of the callers was also saying, when you are making a road for the car and the trucks will go on the roads, this has to be stopped. I think basically, according to me, a law has to be amended or law has to be made for BBMP, especially from the state government, and we will initiate that in this next session. That much I can assure the callers and those who are viewing today, and Mr. Wadhwa also. We want, as there are so many suggestions, one thing is the app has been developed for the potholes. The people can upload the photo and they can send it to the BBMP and they will take care of it.
But Mr. Krishna, I agree that the app is being developed, all of that, but this is not something that needs an app. You walk out onto the road in Bangalore, as all the callers have told you, you can see potholes, as our reporter was also showing. Why does this need an app? What is the deadline now? What is the new deadline that you have decided on?
Avni, you have showed one or two places. I can show the better roads also. Don't show only see. You have to talk. Let us talk sensible. Let's talk sensible. When you are blaming our parents or children or anybody for that matter, we have to be very considerable and reasonable. For that matter, they are doing their job, but it is not enough. Is what what the people are telling, and I am also of the same opinion. It is not enough. It has to be doubled or tripled. That is what it is. The question is. Now, that is the reason I request, I will talk to the concerned people and make a law for one thing is accountability. One thing is for accountability. Second thing, when such cases happen for the potholes, the FIRs, what the police are going to register, there should be a clarity on that. It is not on the convenience of the police. It should be done. We have to be solution-oriented than a problem. We should talk of politicizing the issue or whatever may be. The other important aspect I would like to tell you, the LCIT, what they are doing in Electronic City, we should emulate that in other parts of the city. But before that, huge money was required for Bangalore BBMP to take up the roads totally. Even after, I am of the opinion, at once, these roads should be repaired at once, not repaired. They should be relaid again, and then from there onwards, the solution has to be found.
All right, Aishwarya, you also wanted to come in as well. Please go ahead.
Avni, to be very honest, that as spokespersons, when we talk about civic issues, I think as much as we empathize, I don't think anything will come close to the battle that Mr. Wadhwa has fought. And I'm very sorry that the system put you through this. I saw you were very emotional about it. And also, yes, I think that we haven't, unfortunately, had or lost anybody or seen the battle that you have, and hope that, nobody should go through that. And Avni, I think more than anything, instead of blaming everybody, look at the system that exists and what can be done. There is a serious amount of apathy. Forget the government. It's about also the institutions and the engineers in place who lack accountability. There was a Fix My Street app which was supposed to automatically give you like a receipt saying this pothole will be filled, and then you see the Python machine going and clearing it up. We see that that has not happened. And Mr. Mohan Krishna has said he will talk to the authorities to see what more can be done. And I appreciate him for that because he does come from the ruling dispensation. But Avni, I think Mr. Vadva's fight of ensuring culpability and of the highest order, instead of having something amounting to murder, instead of and having stricter provisions, is something that the state should take forward as a strict punishment in cases of negligence of such nature. It cannot be something amounting to murder. It cannot be possible, could or could not. It should be a strict crime where anybody whose negligence has led to murder, somebody's death should be deemed as a murder, and appropriate compensation should be offered of the serious highest magnitude that is there. Until then, there is nobody who's going to feel like they're accountable. They're going to live without any fear of retribution or any sort of recall of somebody saying you are at fault. And that is something that has to be done, because it is unfair for a city that has so much infrastructure to be bridled down by problems such as where roads are not even there. Yes, some roads are wonderful, some roads are not. Your focus has to be on fixing the knots to make sure that they are wonderful, because Bangalore has a reputation of being better. And I really hope that every time it shouldn't just be a statistic. It should not be just a number that these many people have died, because every single person has a family. Every single person has, somebody who are their loved ones. And for them to lose somebody in a small mishap that could have been completely avoided if there was no governmental apathy, I think, is something that all of us have to think of. And
right.
Thank you, Mr. Vadva, for the battle that you have fought. And I don't know how you have done it for so many years, but truly, truly hats off to you and your battle. And I'm very sorry that something like this happened to you and your family.
Can I say one point?
I completely echo that point as well, Aiyshwarya, on that matter. But I want to go across to some callers. I will just come back to you. Let me just quickly get in voices of some callers who are waiting by. Harish Kumar is joining us from Bhadravati. Harish, thank you for calling in. Go ahead.
Namaste. See, this is a routine thing which is happening every year, okay? And this is not only in Bangalore, it's all across during the monsoon season. As we travel on national highways, we find national highways are very good and it's smooth. Why can't the same contractor be availed for all the cities?
Yes, absolutely. So, yes, absolutely valid question there that you've asked as to why the same contractor can't be used for cities as well.
Nitin Gadkari Ministry is doing wonderful thing related to the infrastructure development road and in time, bang in time.
Yes.
And giving money for this kind of infrastructure, public will be happy to give. And money should not be a hindrance.
Yes.
And why people are not fixing these things?
Yes, absolutely. That is a very valid question. Thank you so much for calling in with your point there. Ajay is joining us from Gurugram. Ajay, go ahead. Thanks for calling in.
For the last 1 year, I know it. This issue is being followed every time, and BJP spokesperson tells another 15 days, another 1 month, another 2 months, that's all. Nothing has happened. Nothing will improve, I tell you. I tell you, because they take the action from the contractor or from the supervisor. Action should be taken on the main engineer, chief engineer, or CM. How many times they take round on these roads? I know it. Some DCs who used to take round of the roads without telling a surprise to the so somebody can know it. But nobody does it in Bangalore.
Yes.
Everybody gives you false assurances. Now this will be done, now this will be done. This thing is happening to the road. This will be happening to the transformers. Nothing happens.
Yes, absolutely, Ajay. Thank you so much for calling in. Vinod is joining us from Pune. Vinod, go ahead.
Ma'am, my only thing is that if these roads are in entire country, why don't we go for cemented road? One. Secondly, if these roads are like this, we should make an accountable to the local body as well as the state body and as well as the in charge of that particular place and accountable. And he should be banned to contest any election for the period of 10 years. Then only he will come to understand what type of politics he is and what type of corruption is going on. An easy MLA is purchasable, but our roads are in such a condition that I am one of the sufferer in this particular thing. Till today also I am suffering by shoulder injury.
Right, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vinod Bharti, for calling in. Raghavan is on the phone line as well. Raghavan, please go ahead.
So, good evening, madam.
Good evening.
I'm speaking from Bangalore.
Yes.
I've been living in Bangalore for more than about 10 years now. It's a pathetic state. It's a pathetic state of affairs simply because they lay the roads now. One monsoon, the roads are washed away. Why? We all know because there's a nexus between the MLA, the politician on the ground, and the PWE department or the BBMP in Bangalore. It's a shamelessly, these politicians will come on the TV and say, I will take action. When the same politician loses his son, his daughter, or himself loses his life, I don't know what he will have to say. Are they so very shameless? Every time a precious life is lost, all that they can come and say is, from here we'll do something. This is despite that the court has been every time coming up and hitting the hammer on the head of these politicians, but shameless that they are, they travel in a limited nucleus of the city where their house, the legislative assembly, they're all within short distances. They don't have to undergo the agony of traveling distances where a lot of potholes are there. How shameless is this man who's coming on the TV and saying, I'll make somebody accountable? Doesn't he know? The elections are coming. The BJP is going to realize what's going to happen in the elections. People are all very annoyed with the BJP. Very, very annoyed.
So, Raghavan, all right, thank you so much for calling us one can understand your outrage there. Let me, in fact, go across to Mr. Wadhwa. You wanted to come in? Go ahead, please.
So there are two things. Whenever we say that we support for pothole filling, I respect that the Mr. Pothole Raja is doing excellent job. I also in touch with him, and we also fill some pothole in Faridabad, but we do it for showing it to the management, to the authorities that we can fill the pothole, then why you can't fill the pothole. But by this way, the accountability might shift to Pothole Raja also. I'm not sure how legally it will work and how it will not work, because once we fill the pothole, we are taking the contractor out from the picture and then we are bringing ourselves to the picture. So that is one thing. I'm not sure how it will work. Secondly, when we say the High Court has laughed and other things, but High Court has unfortunately till now not taken any action. We demand the High Court and Supreme Court also to take these matters seriously, and whenever the case comes to them, try to close these cases as soon as possible, so that the victim who is trying to fight should get the results as soon as possible. Not like me, that I am fighting this case since 8 years and I'm still have to. I know that this fight is very long. Last point, because everyone is agreed that the solution for this problem is the accountability on the contractor and the government officials. So I humbly request both the representative from Congress and BJP that if you allow me, I will send you the format I already prepared, that what the law should be. If you feel so that the format is prepared by me is correct and it suits your understanding also, then can we meet again after a week or so for the follow-up, that what is the progress on that, so that we can conclude something from here. Otherwise, we'll be debating this subject every time and we'll not be concluding anything. So if you are agree with the solutions, and we are saying that accountability is the only solution with the punishment, so please allow me to send you the draft, and then we can discuss what correction you are proposing and other things. So jointly, let us take it forward and make a law for at least Karnataka.
Aiyshwarya, is that something that is doable? Because he's absolutely right. We're always talking about this, and there are comments always being made, but concrete action to move forward and get this issue sorted needs to be done.
is extremely important on this. I will ask the coordinator to put me in touch with Mr. Manoj Wadhwa, and I can tell you on air that I will put them in touch with the manifesto committee specifically working towards Bangalore civic issues, headed by a former parliamentarian, Mr. Rajiv Gowda, who's very active, was part of IIM, was also a parliamentarian and worked for the suburban rail and works with civic issues in Bangalore. And we will specifically put Sir in touch. I will also personally coordinate to ensure that we can implement what you're saying as part of the way forward and as a commitment at what we can do. I'm sure Mr. Mohan Krishna also would like to engage with you because they are the incumbent government. I think at this point, whatever can be done is something that we really should undertake, sir. So I will get to communicate with you and I will put you in touch. I will personally coordinate with you to see what small step that we can do. If you're doing 2% now, if both of us can contribute to make it 10 or 15 or 20%, that is still so much better than what it is current. So
absolutely. I will ensure that this communication is done as well, at least from my end, put you in touch with each other offline as well. Mr. Krishna, please go ahead.
I would like to assure Mr. Wadhwa that from our end, from our party end, and from our officials end also, I will discuss personally what best we can do, and let us not debate on this issue more and more. And we should give relief to the people as soon as possible. One thing is accountability. Second thing is how fast you can do this. And third thing, very importantly, the problem should not be there for anybody just because of roads.
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Krishna. But I must point out that it is only because of this debate that you are getting in to hear these stories, and you are being put in touch with somebody who can actually give you some concrete advice and help you take this forward. These issues have to be highlighted, and we will continue to do that. So there is no question of not highlighting such issues, because if these issues are not highlighted, then I can assure you this issue will further slow down and there will not be action taken. But I want to go across to more callers here. Chandrasekhar is joining us from Bengaluru as well. Thanks for calling in. Go ahead, Chandrasekhar.
Good evening. Good evening. I have just heard all the points made by them. My only contention here is whether the contractor's point of view is being taken, because why they are repeatedly dishing out such bad roads. Is there anything wrong in the way tendering process has gone? Why the quality is being sacrificed? Are they not being paid the full amount the way the NHAI does? That is my only thing.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for calling in with your view. Sourabh Kumar, is that something you would like to come in there in terms of the question that the viewer asked just now?
See, I think the solution has to be thought through, as the a lot of people have spoken about why is that one section of the city has maintained roads. That is definitely questionable, and I still believe that the right intent can definitely lead to a better road infrastructure in Bangalore. I'm really hopeful that the story of Mr. Wadhwa does resonate with our member from BJP and Congress as well, and we do something concrete. And as we discussed that, let's now talk about the solution. Let's talk about how do we translate this debate to something actionable. Let's talk about better solutions that can really help the city, and not talk about only rain being the spoilsport. Yes. Whereas we know that the technology can help us maintain the roads even during monsoon. So yes, that is 2 cents from my side.
All right. Well, we've got Colonel Joshua calling us from Pune. Colonel, thank you for calling in. Go ahead. What would you like to say?
Good evening, ma'am. This is Colonel Joshua calling from Pune. When we talk about potholes and the road, we must also take into account the stakeholders that use the road. Besides the commuters, we have a number of utilities all along the road. We have the telecoms, we have the pipelines running, we have filling all along. Now what happens is the water is the major enemy of the roads. Unless there is a proper drainage plan, one can make the best road and the road will fail. So what I suggest is that all stakeholders should be taken into account, especially the filling and the kind of infrastructure that is at times unauthorized in terms of encroachments created along the road. They are the ones which spoil the natural ground level and the natural drainage. A drain is designed in a city for storm water and not for sanitation and hygiene and other kinds of water. Now, what happens is that when the filling occurs on the side for unauthorized constructions, that is the time when the entire drainage plan goes for a fix. And therefore, my suggestion is that one of the major aspects should be control of encroachments and unauthorized filling and constructions along the road.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Colonel, for calling us with your views. Rajashekhar is also calling us from Bengaluru. Go ahead. What would you like to say?
Yeah, good evening. See, actually, I have 2 points. One is a micro, one is a macro. See, the issue is in Bangalore, somebody like me who has been living in Bangalore for decades, it's a nightmare. I mean, both the political party representatives who are sitting there and pointing finger at each other. The fact is, Bangalore traffic, you will be surprised. On an average, it is 5 to 6 kilometers per hour. It is the worst in the world. No infrastructure development has happened in this IT city for the last 30 years. Not even a single flyover has been constructed. So this is the bigger picture. The smaller picture is, as far as the pothole is concerned, you know, the biggest tragedy in our country is all these government works are awarded on the base of the lowest bidder. I think we should be moving away from that, and it should be L1 and T1. That means the lowest in price and technically the most superior one.
Right.
Unless this shift is bought,
right,
I think.
Right. All right, Mr. Rajashekhar, thank you so much for calling us with your views and extremely important points that you've raised. Ayyappa is also on the phone line. Please go ahead. What would you like to say?
Madam, good evening to you.
Good evening.
See, why all this halla gulla? It is, good evening to you all. Good evening to you all.
Yes, please go ahead. We can hear you.
All this, why all this halla gulla? It is a very simple thing to do. The quality control is missing from the basics. If the quality is controlled from the tender stage, specifications, and things can function very well. See, same station like Bangalore, we have cantonment, right? Cantonment roads are beautiful.
Yes.
Why can't similarly there's...
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Ayyappa. I completely get your point there. Similar point being raised by several other callers, but I'm afraid we're completely out of time. I'd like to thank all my panelists for joining in on the show, and a special thank you to Manoj Wadhwa for joining us and for sharing your story. Once again, my deepest condolences for what you've gone through, and I truly hope that this conversation leads to something more concrete in terms of taking these issues forward and actually getting something fixed the way it is meant to be. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. Let's hope that this issue of potholes at least gets fixed soon enough at this point in time. Thank you for watching.